Okay, greetings and welcome back to College Sports and More with Rashad B in the house. So this is my reaction to the coaches poll segment, and I want to go over, as you heard, if you watched my other video, where I went through the top tiers, the fan reaction, which is my fan reaction to what I believe would be the preseason poll, AP poll primarily. Now, I want to sort of match up what the coaches poll is to my poll. And to go back through this with you folks, is going to be find some very interesting similarities. So starting off with the coaches poll had Miami at number 10. In my fan poll, I had Miami also at number 10. Okay, and this is all documented. There's receipts. Just go check my other video that I released a few days ago, and you will see that. Okay, hear that from me. So LSU at number 9 in the coaches poll. My poll, I had Alabama at number 9. Coaches poll, number 18 was Alabama. My number 18 is Oregon. Might surprise some people with that one. And the coaches poll had Oregon number 7. I had LSU at number 7. Okay. Coaches poll had Clemson at number 6. I had Clemson at number 6. Coaches poll had Notre Dame at number 5. I had Notre Dame at number 5. Coaches poll had Georgia at number 4. I have Georgia at number 4. Coaches poll has Penn State at number 3. I have Ohio State at number 3. Coaches poll has, Coaches poll has Ohio State at number 2. I have Texas as number 2. Coaches poll had Texas number 1. And I have Penn State number 1. So let's break that down quickly. So first thing is the composite of all teams. We all have the same teams and the exact same. Likewise with the Phil Steele poll. So the exact same teams in the top 10 that the coaches poll have, I also have in my fan poll. Okay. There also are similarities in where we have the same teams ranked in the poll. And so that would be 4 teams out of the 10 that we have the exact same picks slotted in the rankings. And that is number 10, Miami, number 6, Clemson, number 5, Notre Dame, and number 4, Georgia. Okay. So the sort of bookends to that are obviously at the top, Texas, Ohio State, and Penn State, which is interchangeable. Then, of course, similarly, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, interchangeable parts there. And so as I had explained in my other video about why I have the team slotted the way I have them slotted, which I will explain again, is that, and many people agree with me. I've looked at other people's videos and their reaction to the coaches poll similarly on what their opinions are to the poll and where teams are ranked and criterias, etc. And so, as I stated, my criteria are in 3 areas primarily. And that is the quarterback, particularly if you got a returning quarterback or a quarterback who's played some to significant games. So that's important. And then, of course, the third part of that is if you got a promising quarterback with potential returning. But if you just got an unknown nobody, and then that's not going to get you much, okay, with me in my poll and how I viewed it. And I think similarly to what other people, how their other field would feel to that too. So that's one part of it, the quarterback. The second one is offensive line. Is that a strength? Because obviously offensive line, you can do a lot. You can't do much if you don't have no offensive line, and how many guys returning and what's the strength of that. So that was the second criteria. The third was the defense. So, obviously defensive line, linebackers, and the secondary after that. Because you can have the strongest secondary in the world, but if your defensive line is trash, then you're going to get beat a lot. Okay, simple as that. Whether it be run game, whether it be short passing game, whether it be even long passing game, they're going to beat you a lot because your defense is not worth anything. So those are the three areas that I looked at as far as evaluating these teams and my criteria to what makes one team ahead of the other. Now, as I also had stated, which I will again state again, and most people again agree with this, when we look at these teams, there's not a juggernaut amongst these teams. There's not a team that stands out far ahead of the other teams. Okay, even when you look at the poll numbers, they're not that. Again, they're not that separated as far as that goes too. So, a number of teams got first place votes, whether they be small number of votes or whatever, they still got first place votes. Clemson got votes, Georgia got votes, and the other main three teams got votes: Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State, which again, those seem interchangeable. So for me, and why I chose Penn State as number one, which goes to, again, one of those three factors, which was a quarterback, versus Ohio State, which is why I had them third, because of the three teams at the top, Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State, Ohio State has the youngest, least experienced quarterback of the three. So I just kind of went, again, that's what a big part of why they're ranked as they are, with Penn State having the most experienced quarterback coming back. And second to that, Texas having Arch Manning, and even though he played, some played last year, and his potential, and so that's where they start at, because Arch Manning and Texas could certainly surpass Penn State, potentially. But until they do so, they're going to be behind Penn State in terms of my ranking as it is. So that is the reason why I have Ohio State third, Texas two, and Penn State number one. I don't know why the coaches picked Texas one. Again, the hype there is with Texas and Arch Manning, but also what I stated before is that there's some media hype and media stuff that wants a Texas number one versus Ohio State number two kickoff matchup. It sounds better. It sells better to have number one versus number two, because we haven't had that a lot in college football history, where we start the season off with the number one and number two teams ranked playing each other at the season opener. We haven't had that. So it's going to be a great sale, even if they weren't 1 and 2, 1 and 5, or 1 and whatever. It still would be a marquee game. It's still one of the marquee games of the college football opening weekend. So week one weekend. So you have that. Okay, have to count that 0 weekend thing they got going on. And so that's why I have my teams in there. And again, as what many would say, it's interchangeable to who is 1, 2, 3 at this point amongst those three teams. I believe most people have those three at the top of their polls, minus 1 or 2 teams, but certainly one of those three in most people's minds, certainly at the very least. Now, moving to the middle portion of the poll, where you're getting into 4, 5, 6, which is where I was right on the mark with the coaches poll at. So again, Georgia has a lot of experience in defense and offensive line. Again, the quarterback Now, some would say, well, why is not Clemson there? Because they have an experienced quarterback. Their defense seems pretty good. But the question mark for them is the offensive line. How good are they? So that's my question mark for Clemson is offensive line, which is big, important. You got to have. So, and then, like I said, from what Clemson has done from last year, I know we shouldn't be taking account last year, but, I just have them number 6. And the coaches seem to agree with that. So there you go. Clemson number 6 and Notre Dame number 5, because Notre Dame, it does bring back a lot of good guys, and they have a lot of guys who got the transfer portal and all that. And so, so they're right there at number 5, and so that's just where they're at. And then Georgia, similarly, has some good key players coming back, and they're just always a steady team as far as that goes. So, yes, there's going to be the bias. There's going to be the favoritism based off a team's previous year's performance. And that is no secret to the preseason rankings. Okay? There's no secret. People are always, most 99% of the time, basing the preseason poll off of what the team did from the year before and where they see the potential. Now, there's some teams that got snubbed out that people might say, well, what about this team? Particularly those people from Southern Cal, right? They're looking at themselves and saying, why aren't we in the top 25? And so forth. And that's a good argument to be had about that. But they will have the opportunities to prove themselves, to jump into that if they can, get themselves up to that status. Okay, so you have them. Then let's go to the last of those four teams left there. There you have Oregon, Alabama, LSU, and then Miami. Okay, and I know some people are kind of poo-pooing on Miami more so than any other team of why they should be there at number 10. However, when you look at Carson back the year before, again, we've seen him at his best. And players can have off years. Players, is his off year last year at Georgia an indictment or indicative of him in totality of his resume as a player? So I believe people are giving him the benefit of the doubt with that to say, okay, this is the upside to what Carson Beck is versus the downside of a year last year where there was people, again, there's a lot of stuff that goes into the reason why the quarterback didn't play up to par the way he did the year before. So they're giving him, I believe, the benefit of the doubt. I know I am. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because having watched him and see that. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt with that. And they have a good nucleus of players returning Miami. And so they are the 10th best team there. And then the coaches have LSU at number 9. Now, for me, I feel as if the LSU quarterback, out of the 3 teams, Alabama, in Oregon and LSU, I feel that the LSU quarterback has a better resume and has been more proven than either the Oregon quarterback or the Alabama quarterback, who, again, these guys haven't played much at Alabama. Oregon quarterback Dante Moore, who played at UCLA for a few games, but that's 2 years ago. Last year he transferred and all that stuff. I think he didn't play much or whatever. So, So that I give LSU quarterback the advantage there. That's why I have LSU ahead at number 7, and then of course my number 18 is Oregon, and because again the quarterback, I give the Oregon quarterback over the Alabama quarterback, and then Alabama quarterback again, first year starting, basically playing for the most part. I mean, he played a little bit last year, but just really taking it in again, seeing what Alabama are we talking about? We're talking about the hot start Alabama that started off like 5-6-0, 5-0, something like that last year until they ran into Vanderbilt. Are we talking about the team that was floundering around the last part of the season? They got curb stomped in Oklahoma last year. So I don't know which Alabama team is going to show up there with that. So that's kind of like where they are right there, and that's what we have as far as my reaction to the coaches poll and my thoughts to it. So again, it's very similar, very parallel to what I have, similar to what many others have in their poll. Just the moving around the chairs to which teams are ranked where they are at. And as I mentioned, it's a lot more parity we have this season. So we're going to see, like I said, just whoever's the team, just like last year, who survives through the gauntlet, because there wasn't. I mean, Ohio State elevated its play to a level that we hadn't seen them play before up until that point. They were playing good, but they really ramped it up to a level in that short amount of time. And I don't know if they would have been able to do that, sustain that over the course of a season. But for that short amount of time, that's why, just like back before that time when you had just regular bowl games and stuff, teams could just switch that gear and just be prepared for that bowl game. And it was always say this: the team that's best prepared for that bowl, that takes that bowl very serious, generally going to win that game. And so, if I was coaching, I would just break that season up like that to where this is the next season for us. That playoff round is the next season, and we have to step that up. And so, and that's what they did. They wasn't still trying to play the same way that they were playing in the regular season. It was like a new season. They got invigorated. They got a boast of energy and focused. And that loss, as bad as that loss was, it was a blessing for them to really reset their oars on what they needed to do, and they did it. And they came out, because that season would have just been disastrous if they had lost in the playoff. And so and it got them a boost to be playing at home as well too. That was probably a really big factor that really helped launch them, was the fact that they were playing that first playoff game at home. It wasn't just like them playing a regular bowl game, neutral site and all that stuff, but to be able to be at home. I think if they had to go on the road to play in Tennessee, not saying that they would have lost the game, but it probably would have been a different type of ball game playing in Tennessee versus them being at home, and so forth, and what have you. But again, hats off to Ohio State for what they did though last year. I'm not trying to take away anything from that. I'm just trying to point out the fact that you get a tale of different teams as the season goes through and all that stuff. And certainly this poll is not going to be the same at the end of the year that it is today with some of these teams. Somebody's going to move up, somebody's going to move down, certainly. New teams enter in who we don't expect to be there right now, but they will have opportunities to move up and be in this poll. So this is just the start of it, and we'll see where it goes from there. I will have my weekly updates on the poll as well too. And what have you, just to kind of see how teams align up and all that stuff, and especially as we lead into the home stretch where we'll have the CFP rankings pop up and how that all fits there, and see and does what they give us lines up to what the average fan thinks with regard to some of these teams and so forth. So that'll be something that I'm really looking forward to down the line. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop here. Appreciate you tuning in, listening into my show, and enjoy out there. And we'll check in with you on the next one here at College Sports and More with Rashad B. Thank you.